There's been a slew of new revelations on allegations of China interfering in Canadian elections. Now, to talk about this in more detail is political reporter and Toronto Sun columnist Brian Lilley, who joins us once again from the Big Smoke. Brian, let's start with Han Dong. He's denying he's one of the 11 candidates who Beijing allegedly helped from their consulate in Toronto.
Yeah, that's right. Specific allegations against Han Dong were that the Chinese consulate, you remember back to last fall, there was the story, 11 candidates. We later found out 9 Liberal, 2 Conservatives, but we had no names. Well, now reports saying that Han Dong, who's the Liberal MP for Don Valley North, is one of them. And that the way that he was helped was that during his nomination process, the Chinese consulate sent busloads of seniors to go vote for him, his name written on their arm so they could just pull up their sleeve. Oh, yeah, that's the guy I vote for. Also that international students from China were told, we're giving you a fake address. You are going to go vote for this gentleman. And if you don't, your student visa status is up for grabs. Those are all very strong allegations, very specific. And the reports from Global and elsewhere citing them, well, they're relying on leaks of CSIS documents shared with the government, shared with the Prime Minister's office, the Privy Council office, and with our Five Eyes intelligence partners, but absolutely denied by the Prime Minister and by Han Dong himself.
So when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was asked about this many times on Monday, he told reporters that their questions were racist?
Said they were racist and that they shouldn't be asking them anymore. He said these allegations should not be entertained. Well, that's a Prime Minister trying to tell a free press how to question the government. You know, the Liberals have been running around saying that questions about this are Trumpian. No, that was the Trumpian move. Don't ask me questions about this. Come on, give me a break. That is not what a Prime Minister is supposed to do. And hiding behind the allegation of racism, the biggest threat to, or the biggest group threatened by China's interference in Canadian affairs are Chinese Canadians themselves, who often end up living in fear, as we've discussed with these, so-called police stations. They're actually intimidation stations, as I've said, where Chinese officials will come out and say, well, you know, we'd really like this to happen because it'd be a shame if something happened to your family back home. You know, those are the victims of China's interference. But Justin Trudeau wants these questions to stop. And so he turns to telling reporters what they should and shouldn't ask. Wow. And making allegations of racism. It's unbelievable, Hal.
It does sound like it. Brian, former heads of CSIS, a former national security advisor, and even Justin Trudeau's former principal secretary, a man you and I know quite well, Gerald Butts, have called for a national public inquiry into the issue of election interference. Will we see one? And if we do, Brian, let me ask you something. Will it go the way of the Public Act or the Public Inquiry into the Emergencies Act?
Well, that's the way most public inquiries go. They're long, they cost a lot of money, they don't solve anything, nobody's held to account. So, I applaud that all of these people, including Jerry Butts, are saying there's a problem here and we need to find out more. We need to look into it. A public inquiry would definitely do that. We would find out more. But here's what it would also do. We're in a minority parliament situation. Let's say the Prime Minister called a public inquiry this week. It would get set to go sometime late spring, early summer, it would start going. And then sometime in the late summer, we might start hearing witnesses. You know what could happen before then? We could have another election where Trudeau decides to set something up where he calls an early election. And anytime he's asked about this issue, he just gets to say, I'm sorry, I can't comment on that. That's before a public inquiry. I've seen it happen before. Going back almost 20 years with Paul Martin, he did that. I'm hopeful that the committee will be able to do its work. I'm, maybe naive in thinking that, but the parliamentary committee is the proper place for this, not a public inquiry. We've got meetings coming up on Wednesday. The Conservatives are going to ask for the production of papers again for key witnesses like Katie Telford, Trudeau's chief of staff. The Liberals on that committee need to realize that something is happening here. They need to act like they work for the people who voted for them and not like they work for PMO. So far, they've been blocking access to documents and witnesses and acting as employees of the PMO rather than employees of the people.
So, Brian, while the Trudeau Liberals were dealing with this last week, The Pierre Poilievre Conservatives had their own issues after 3 Ontario MPs met with Christine Anderson, the German member of European Parliament who blasted Prime Minister Justin Trudeau during the Freedom Convoy. Now, apparently the party was not happy about these 3 MPs meeting with Anderson. Why not?
Well, look, Anderson got a lot of attention here in Canada because she blasted Justin Trudeau, and she did it quite well. But she belongs to a party in Germany called Alternative for Germany that, as their leaders and other members, have made questionable comments about the Holocaust. The German ambassador to Israel refuses to meet with the party because of their stance on Israel and the Holocaust, claims of anti-Semitism. Anderson herself gave a speech just a few months ago in the European Parliament calling Islam the devil. Now, reverse all of that, and if that were a group of liberals meeting with someone who called Islam the devil, who belonged to a party that had questionable comments on the Holocaust, where the Israeli government says, we won't even meet with you, conservatives would scream from the rooftops, just like they did for Laith Marouf, the racist anti-racism trainer. So, this was a bad move by the 3 MPs. They've apologized for it. Pierre Poilievre put out a statement saying Anderson's views aren't welcome here. You don't distract from the problems of your opponent by scoring an own goal like this. And that's what they did. It was wrong for them to meet with Anderson, regardless of what she said about Trudeau. You just practice good political hygiene so that you don't end up standing next to someone that's going to give you headaches later on.
But have you seen the backlash on social media from Conservative supporters who are now blasting Pierre Poilievre because he called out the MPs?
I was at the center of that. I was at the center of that because Pierre Poilievre's statement came out through me. I did the simple thing that journalists do. I asked for a statement. I received a statement. I was told that that was a fake statement, that it didn't come from Pierre Poilievre. I assure you it did. People claim that there's no way he would say that. He doesn't speak like that. He does. He did say that. Those were his words. Whether they came to me directly from Pierre or through an aide, it doesn't matter. You know how politics works. And if a top aide says, here is a comment from the leader, that is a comment from the leader. And none of the top aides to Poilievre have asked me to retract, said that I was wrong, said, you've got to take that down. And I've spoken with them every single day since Friday. And if Pierre Poilievre didn't say that, he knows how to get a hold of me directly. He could call me right now. He could text me right now. We haven't spoken in a little while, but he is not retracting that. That is actually a Poilievre statement. And in my view, it was the right thing to do. You've got people making salutes that the Liberals are going to say are Hitler salutes, and you've got MPs at that event? Come on, that is just giving the Liberals all the ammunition they need to win the next election at a time when they should not be winning any election because of all these allegations about Chinese interference. Get angry about that. Don't get angry about Poilievre's statement.
Well, it was interesting, too, what Leslyn Lewis had to say when she was referring to the blackface prime minister, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calling out the 3 MPs meeting with somebody who's made racist comments. She says, I'm not going to take advice from somebody who wears blackface. So that was quite interesting.
And that's all valid, Hal, but you still don't score an own goal when you're winning the game. And right now, the Conservatives have been winning. Poilievre's talking about the issues that matter. He's up in the polls. The Liberals are on the ropes. Don't give them an out when you've got them on the ropes.
So you don't think this is going to hurt the Conservatives that much, the fact that they distanced themselves from Christine Anderson?
They should have distanced themselves from Christine Anderson. What would you say if it was somebody calling Christians the devil and the Liberals met with them, or Jews the devil and the Liberals met with them? You've got to look at it at that lens. And just because she, screamed about Justin Trudeau and rightly called him out for a lot of the ways he responded to COVID doesn't mean that she's a hero. And, swing voters who decide elections, who go between Liberals and Conservatives, won't like that sort of thing and will recoil. So if people want to go and vote for Maxime Bernier and the People's Party because Pierre Poilievre practiced good political hygiene, well then, get ready for another Liberal government. I mean, that is a losing proposition, and so is screaming about Poilievre doing the right thing.
Now, Brian, as you predicted earlier this month, all provinces are signing health deals with Ottawa, or it appears so. Alberta's the latest to sign a deal in principle. It's a deal for more than $24 billion invested into Alberta's healthcare system over the next 10 years. Now, that includes a $233 million top-up to the Canada Health Transfer, money that is desperately and sorely needed right now.
Yeah, so look, this is not going to be transformational money. It, for the most part, keeps up with inflation. But if you remember, one of the reasons that I told you Danielle Smith would take this money is, well, it's the only offer on the table. And you've got an election coming up in May. She couldn't say no to the money. Now, is she happy with the deal that she got? Probably not. None of the premiers, none of the governments that I've spoken to were happy with it, but they just knew that there was no other offer on the table. One government saying to me, look, I came in with low expectations, so I wasn't upset when I left the meeting because it was a low offer. But, every province needs the money, and turning down the cash when our health system is struggling, regardless of where you live, that would have been a bad move on their part. So, Danielle Smith joining Doug Ford in Ontario, Tim Houston in Nova Scotia, Blaine Higgs in New Brunswick, Kane and PEI and Fury in Newfoundland and Labrador in signing on. I think Legault's about to sign on. It's only a matter of time before they go around and finalize the deals. As I said, every premier, every government is going to sign this eventually, even if they don't love it. The one thing they do like, there's not really any strings attached beyond sharing information of what were your waiting lists like before, how are they doing now, how many surgeries have you done, has it improved things?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is part of the deal having provinces share our personal health information with Ottawa?
No, when you hear data, and the Prime Minister talked a lot about data when he was asked about this on Monday, he's talking about aggregate data, like 100,000 people had cataract surgery, not Hal had cataract surgery. They're not going to get access to your personal records. And for the most part, even if they wanted to, provinces don't have the technology in place to do that. Now, should we have better technology so that if you're traveling from Lethbridge up to Edmonton and something happens and you're in a hospital, that they're able to pull up your data in the Edmonton hospital? Absolutely, they should be able to do that. And provinces need to work on that. But this agreement with the feds, it's about how many surgeries you performed, what the wait lists are like, are improvements happening, that sort of thing. It's not about getting your personal health data into a server at the Health Canada headquarters in Tunney's Pasture. They have no use for it, and it wouldn't do them any good if they got it.
Brian, you've got your pulse on what's happening on the Hill. Do you think we're going to be seeing a spring election? What's the latest?
I wonder what the NDP is going to do now, because they have been the only reason that the Trudeau government stays in power. Now, with all of these allegations of foreign interference, what does the NDP do? Do they continue to prop up as day after day there's more information coming out about the situation when it comes to the integrity of our elections? Are they going to stand by that? If they don't, we could see a spring election. Everything right now, Hal, is in flux, and the Liberals are in panic mode over all of this, and they really don't know what to do. It's why they were quick to latch onto the Christine Anderson thing, because they want to talk about anything other than their own problems, and every day seems to reveal another problem for the Liberal Party, the latest being allegations of China trying to influence Justin Trudeau through the Trudeau Foundation and big donations going back to 2013.
Now, a big part of this is the fact that Jagmeet Singh would have to pull the plug on the coalition, but he's promised to keep it in place till 2025.
So that's worth the paper it's written on. You can recycle that quickly, throw it in the blue bin, and move on. In our parliamentary system, it's always the next confidence vote. You can come to an agreement, but those agreements can be broken. So there's no guarantee that we're sticking around to 2025. But does Jagmeet Singh have the confidence to say, I'm going to have to go out on my own? He's been happy to be Trudeau's hype man. He's been happy to support Trudeau at every turn while sniping from the sidelines, but not doing anything about his complaints. What does he do now in the face of these very serious allegations? That's going to be the big question over the next couple of weeks. Pierre Poilievre, by the way, he could get caught up in this because what's the original claim? 11 candidates, 9 liberal, 2 conservatives, helped by the Chinese government. Pierre Poilievre's reaction since last fall has been, all right, let's be open about this. Let's see everything. And Justin Trudeau's has been, let's not talk about it. So, how do each of the parties respond to this? How do they, make the political calculus? Those will all be the questions on whether we have an election. But it's more feasible, more possible than I would have said maybe a couple months ago.
And you know what? Yeah, Canadians are definitely looking for more transparency, especially with our federal government officials. Political reporter and Toronto Sun columnist Brian Lilley, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Hal.